I am stuck on everything. Ugh. Good evening, everyone. I hope you all liked the intro there. It was a little fun thing to do. Let's actually get some proper stream music going. I've been wanting to be able to do that live for a very long time. I guess I've been streaming a little over a year now, and it's something I've wanted to do. I just didn't have the room. Not in a way that made sense, right? Um, but now I can, and I can do it as often as I like, and uh, I can record now. Kind of a neat thing. I can just show you all this since you can kind of see my amplifier anyway, right? And my amp, and it has a USB hookup on it, and that plugs directly into the USB port on top of my computer, or in the back, whatever you prefer to use. I use the front access ports because they're easier, they're handier, and your computer will actually use the amp and treat it like a microphone. So it's a direct mic input. So anything you use to record, like Audacity or even OBS here, you can just hook it as an input device and shoot straight out. It's pretty good. And that'll work with any amplifier for any instrument. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be an electric guitar. I've got an acoustic here that I had hooked up to it. My amp will do both. And they have settings for both. Um, it's a fairly pricey amp. Like it's not top of the line, but it's definitely not bottom of the barrel either. It was I don't remember what we paid for the amp on. It was it was like probably $600-700 for the amp, yeah. That's it. There you go. The guitar and the amp together was a little under $800. So, oh, I don't have my lights on. I knew something was wrong. Let me ta-da! I am illuminated with every light. Okay. Let's see. I have to. I can't edit your post on Discord. That has to be HTTPS. That's why I didn't link. But I copied and pasted it from yours. Real? Oh, you know what? I stand corrected. You don't need the S there because I don't use it, and it links just fine. That's so weird. Why did it not do that?
Like I literally copied and pasted your whole thing.
Wow. I wonder if there's a setting or something in Discord I have to look at. That's letting you're not able to link or something. You should be able to though. All right. Just move this over here. Grab that here. All right, and we can switch back to this scene where we are back to GameMaker. Actually, I opened Steam. I didn't want to have Steam open. I was working on some stuff last night where I wanted to. Let me show you. When you click this, instead of dragging the thing, you'd get like a ghost box that you could drag around that snaps to a grid, and when you let it go, then this window will actually move to wherever the ghost was. It turns out that's actually a lot harder to implement than I initially thought it would be, and I'm actually going to fix it. It isn't really required for my needs. It was something I was going to add as like an additional utility. Um, but it's been nothing but absolutely problematic. Not that that's a reason to quit. It is still something I want to put in, but I don't want to dedicate a huge amount of time to doing it when I don't really need that functionality for what I'm doing. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back into the window manager, and I'm going to remove all of that extraneous code for that. All of this. Being careful not to break stuff. Move window is the function I wrote to move the window around. That should work. Yeah, there we go. We're back to working again. Okay. Good, good. The ghost moving of objects around is neat, and it's a neat functionality for games that would require, you know, an on-screen inventory or maybe an on-screen chat box or something like that, where you have a more complicated UI. And I'm looking at games like EVE Online, or even World of Warcraft to a degree. Although World of Warcraft, you can't not actually move the UI around, and it's kind of fucking annoying. When I say the UI, I mean like you can't move the inventory bags, you can't move the quest dialog boxes or any of that. Like they're, and I'm speaking specifically about World of Warcraft Classic Editions. I don't know about retail anymore. I haven't played retail in ages. I haven't played retail since retail looked like Classic. So I'm actually going to, one more time into here, I need to get rid of I want to get rid of this ghost control. I no longer require that, and I don't want to fill the package up with classes I'm not using yet. Make sure that didn't break anything. It probably didn't. Yeah, it did not. Okay. All right. So what I need a GUI manager for is actually the settings menu for my game. So we're going to focus on the controls I actually want to implement. Now, one of the first controls I know I'm going to be using, so I blind everybody here, is, and this is a neat control I like a lot, right? You have, these lines are invisible, you don't actually see these. It's just kind of a grid, so you see how things are lined up. What you have here in the center of this is an icon of some sort, right? We'll say a game controller, right? Okay, it's a terrible looking controller, but it's not too bad. So I drew it with my mouse. And what you have here is two little arrow icons, right? And what I call this a wheel control. And when you click on this icon in the center changes to something else. And you can load this up with whatever you want. This is a great space saving control. where you want users to be able to select multiple things, right? And you don't have room for a menu or anything like that. This can be really, really handy, and it's exactly what I want to use. So we're going to go right into that. Let's create a new group, because this is what I would call AUI Interactive. And we're going to create a new script. As soon as I find script in the menu here. AUI wheel, which inherits from AUI control. And like all other AUI controls, you have to hand it an AUI box object that denotes its position on the canvas. Okay. Forgot what language I was writing there for a second. Trying to make it look like C#. Which, and rightfully so, right? Because this entire schema that I'm building, this whole toolkit, framework, if you will, is designed to mimic the way C# Windows forms are built. So we're going to start with an items array, and this items array is going to contain all of the various objects that can be in the wheel. And we'll be iterating over that later. So let's do for our first function, we have handle input. This is the default function that almost all AUI controls have to implement. And if they don't, there is basic handle input in the base control class here, as well as render code, that will make an attempt to treat it like it's a box. But that's not going to work for our wheel control. We're going to have to do some special inputs there. So we don't want AUI control to be handling input. We want to be able to do that ourselves in terms of generate some of our own events specific to how the control is used, a la left and right arrows. So we're also going to define our own render function, and we're not gonna get into its definition yet. Let's worry about managing data. First thing we need to be able to do is add items to it. All right, adding items is, we need to think about what we actually need. Okay, we need an icon for the thing, right? It doesn't have to be. You can use text in your wheel control, but most people are probably going to want to use icons of some sort or another. So we'll need to support both. And already we have two things that could potentially appear in the icon place. Plus, those things have to mean something to the rest of the game, and more importantly to the programmer that's using it, so that you can extract data from it and understand what the user's actually selecting. So a simple array isn't going to work. We're going to have to use an array of structs. This is fun. And I say an array because arrays are ordered where structs are not. They mostly are. Like, the order you put things into a struct is usually the order you get them back out of, but that isn't always necessarily true, and it shouldn't be relied upon. So we're going to use an array. Okay. So we're going to add item, and we're going to just say item this way. we're going to take the now I expect this to be a struct, and we're going to expect it by saying well, now we've got our first issue. I don't know how much error checking I want to do here, because with what I'm about to do, you could potentially put the same thing into the item array multiple times, and I kind of want to check for that. I kind of don't, because I kind of feel like if you're doing that, you're kind of a dumbass, and I don't really like writing code for stupid people. I shouldn't say that. Like, it could be an honest mistake, but let's just say game maker GML r structs equal. Okay, so using an equality operator on structs in GML will compare their references and not the actual content in them. So it looks like there's a lot of code I could write that will compare their contents, but that looks like a lot of code that's going to run when you're loading the struct. So we're not going to do that. One of the other things I have to keep in mind is the more code that has to run, the slower the UI processing is going to be. And I really want this to be as fast as possible, but also concise. Like I want it to work right. Like I'm not super interested in cutting corners on this, but I am very interested in it running quickly. So if you're using the tool and you stick the same thing into the array more than one time, then you're gonna get a duplicate. Like, I don't know what to say. All right. So let's do. We'll just push it onto the array and call it a day. Done. And we're going to call it add item, not items, because you add them one at a time. But before we shove it in the array, we do still make sure that there's some sort of reference there that we can count on, right? So I kind of want the struct to look like this. And now I need some sort of value, right? Which can be arbitrary and it is really not specific to the toolkit so much as it is your code using the toolkit, because I'm going to ship that back out and then it'll be up to you to trap that, use it. So we'll say if not variable struct exists, item, and then value. We're just going to return. We're just going to dump back out and do nothing with that. And we're going to call it a graceful fail. I don't generally like throwing errors because errors tend to blow through the UI or crash the game. And that makes for bad code. This is kind of shit too because it doesn't really tell you You know what? Let's do this. We'll say AUI log items in AUI wheel control must have a value attribute. And the beauty of AUI log is this is this will only run if the debug flag is set, which you can only set while you have the GameMaker editor open. So if things aren't working correctly, you have an option to catch the error there. I lost what? No, there we go. And now we'll say return. Okay. And we'll return here. This is called an early return. You do this so that you don't push an array or push a value into the array that is not going to work right with the rest of the code that's about to be fired on. You know, I'm looking at this and I hate it already. I hate it because I don't like arrays of anonymous values. This is some shit I used to do in Perl all the time, where I'd end up with an array full of hash refs, which are basically structs. And iterating them was always disgusting. And I don't like it. I kind of want items to be like a DS map, but DS maps are slower. But it'll give me a little more yeah, I know that isn't going to work anymore. Okay. Okay, so now we'll take a key and an item. So I implemented this once before in a prototype of this toolkit, and it worked really well, but I'm pretty sure I hacked it together. Which is, you know, not great, but it's one of the proof of concept that it works. So if I unmute the desktop audio, you'll actually be able to hear the music. Now, if I do it this way, you have to display a key and the struct. But key would absolutely already be your value, at least in this case, because like now it would look like this in the DS map. So this could be, you know, controller or whatever. Or, you know, this could be gamepad 1. Keep highlighting that because I'm not sure I want to keep that code now. Well, while I think about that, let's do the theme for it. sprites. Oops. Okay. And I got ads about 14 seconds.
We've got ads.
There's the ads. Okay. Right, that sets up a basic theme for now. Click. Here's the wheel. So we're going to render it. Now, how do I actually want to store data in this thing? I feel like DS map is probably the more organized approach to doing this. Although I don't know if DS maps are ordered. I think they are. I know. They are not ordered. Okay, let's check this out. So here's what we're gonna do. We'll get to that. We'll get back to that in a minute. We're gonna say when you add an item, we're going to array push keys into the keys array, and then we're going to say ds map add the name of the ds map, the key, and then the value of the item. That's did I accidentally close that? I think I did. Yeah, I did. Okay. So check this out. Get next item. Now let's start with get default item. We're going to say return items question mark keys 0 and that will return the first struct that is added to the DS map, because this key value is added to the array of keys, but also as the key of the map entry. So these are running synonymously. And this will let me iterate through an ordered list and then pull the information out of here. Get next item. Function. Okay, so now let's get this to another issue. We don't actually know what item we're on. But these things are stateful, so let's say current index equals 0. Okay, we'll say var the array length of the keys array -1, because the indexes are 0 based, but the length of things, a la measurements, are not. They are based on 1. So you have to subtract 1 to get a true index. I want to know what the last index of the array is. Actually, I should probably call that last index to be more clear. So now, if current index is the last index, and this will be important for rendering why we're doing this. Now we write the same thing in reverse for get previous item. Actually, I'm not going to call this item. I'm just going to say get next. Get previous. But I could shorten it to just previous and next if I want, because it's not actually getting anything. It's just iterating or it's just changing an internal state variable. The prefix get kind of presumes that the function will return something, and these don't have a return statement. So we'll just go with previous, and we'll just say if. Oh, I still need that max. Now we'll say if it equals 0, that equals last index. I really got to start remembering putting that curly brace right there. Else current index minus minus. Now, do I want to force hand on this? Kinda. We're going to remove controller. Which means we're also going to remove this just became a wheel for icons. That's what this did. I don't really want to support text and icons with the same control. It feels convoluted and would make it load slower. If I need a wheel for text, I can easily write a new control to do that. And it'll be a little more specific to that implementation. I don't want to end up with position hacks. Alright, so which means this doesn't need to be a DS map anymore. This can literally just be a struct. Right? Yeah. So we'll break this. This isn't a DS map anymore. So I can say items. Key equals item. And that'll be significantly faster because DS maps are slow. Well, slower than structs. And they have almost all the same features. And GameMaker actually recommends that you use a struct when you can as opposed to a DS map because of that. We're going to go back to the window manager because now I need a function to create that wheel control. So we'll say create. I'm sorry, what?
Coffee. Yes.
Well, of course I do. I mean, I can empty this out quick. The mental hospital isn't that far away. Would you like to go?
Please don't send me to the arsonist today.
Oh, God. Yeah. Jesus. All right. Create icon wheel. This function, and it takes an X, Y, width, height, oh, what am I doing? Bar control equals new. Jesus, can't type. Okay, this isn't a window level component, so I don't have to add it to the window registry. Here, I do have to add it to the control registry because it will get looked up, most likely. Okay. And that should be all I need for that. We're going to call it an icon wheel, not just wheel. And then back to the window manager one more time. Oh, okay, it updates automatically. I really like that it does that. That's really smart. Okay. Which means now I'm going to here. My code right here. Neat. I don't know why that was. Oh, I was testing. Okay. We're actually going to set this inventory to false because I'm pretty much done with that for now. I'm done with it. I'm done with it for now. I've got to implement all the functionality for slotted inventories and moving stuff around. But again, my game does not need that. Something I want to add, just not right now. I need to get the toolkit written so that I can implement the GUI I need for my game. So let's put this somewhere pretty much center of the screen. So we'll say room with, oh, no, because room width is not the viewport. Room width is the size of the room. Okay. However, why you choose to make that here in the inspector, which may or may not be bigger than your current viewport in the game. When you're working with GUIs, you want to use the viewport specifically, but you don't want to call viewport code because it's a dick. When you're in the GUI layer, you can do this cool thing. Window. Oh shit! I didn't know that Windows Center was even a thing. Oh no, this doesn't do what I thought about. Okay. Say window get width divided by 2. And then window get height also divided by 2. Now this isn't exactly center. It'll be a little off. Now for width, I could say I want it to be, let's do 120 pixels wide and let's do 40 pixels high. For now. Why does it matter? Because I have too many parentheses. Oh, and this is why we have to add things to the registry, because AUI window manager.render calls the built-in render function of everything in that registry. Okay, which means I need some render code. Actually, I don't need render code. I can do this and let AUI control render it. Or to throw an error. Or it'll do nothing. It did nothing. Okay, let's render it ourselves, just for the sake of... Let's say draw, set, color, make color RGB 2550255. That's a pretty magenta color for those of you that don't speak hex. And we'll say draw line pos.x pos.y pos.width. Nope. Dot right, which figures out that for you already. So you don't have to have POSX plus POS width. POS right is a function. It's part of AUI box that just returns that value for you. And then POS. Thank you, sweetie. I did not. I'm sorry. Alright, that'll give us at least a baseline. Well, actually, won't give a baseline, it'll give us just a line. And it's not rendering. And I'm not entirely sure why that is right now. Give me just a hot second to figure it out. Inventory wheel is true, or icon wheel is true. If display icon wheel, okay. Huh. This should not work right there, but this is create. Yeah, okay. I wonder why they didn't throw an error sooner. Well, probably because render isn't being called. And that's because window registry calls render. The control registry does not. Okay. So in order to do that, we don't want this here. We want it. We actually want it in the draw UI layer. We'll say wheel render. Neat. So now I know where the control is. Now obviously that's a little not super useful. So I am not doing well today. There we go. That's where our control is. So in order to place it more centered, not that it's super important to do that, but for the sake of content here, let's split this up into more digestible chunks. We have the width of the window, or half the width of the window, right? Minus you know what? I can't actually do it that way because the control isn't technically created at this point. I can't get the width of the control, even though I have the width of the control right here. So I could actually do it. I could say minus 60, and then this I could say minus 20. Which is half of the 140 is the width, height. And now, it's perfectly centered. What you could also do is go into the control itself and say wheel.pos equals new AUI box, right? And you can say window get height, or get width rather, divided by 2 minus wheel POS width. And that's just the x coordinate. And that will do the same thing as this, but a little more pragmatically. And then again, window get height divided by 2 minus wheel POS height divided by 2. This should actually be divided by 2. Now again, you just add the width of the object. So if we want to maintain the width of the object, we just say wheel width, wheel height. And because this fires after this, it will reposition. And it broke. Why did it break? Height not set for reading it. Neat. Why? That shouldn't happen. Did I find a bug? Probably a bug. Oh, width is definitely a... Oh. POS. There it is centered. Still. Right, so I could actually just place this at 60 and at 20 with 120 width and 40, and it will still be centered. A little bit of math, and AUI has the tools built into it to make your life not fucking miserable while you're trying to position things. Now I think the AUI control actually should have a set position function. It is a get position function. If this thing already has a set POS,
We've got ads.
we got ads. Okay. And that's a quick set position function written while we're on break. It's important to note that positions are relative to parent controls. So if you have this wheel control inside of another control, as a UI container, which can take child controls, any position data you send it will be relative to the top left corner of the control it's living in, to make positioning easier. I don't imagine that you would want to place child controls outside of the container, as it kind of defeats the point of having it. I don't know. And this get position function, if I pull it up, actually recursively calls itself. And it does that by creating a copy of the position object that it's currently using. And then it looks into the window manager registry for its parent. And if the parent's not undefined, it will run this function on that parent, getting its position, which could continue recursively looping back, 4 or 5 containers deep, and that's fine. This runs pretty quick. I did I did stress test it with about 5 or 6 containers, and it seemed to be fine. I don't really think anybody's going to build a UI that complicated, but this could run, hundreds of times or anything. That's a little redonkulous. And I think if you're doing that, you probably need to be building your own window manager. All right. Let's get back to the icon wheel. We have our rectangle. Why is this mad? Oh, evaluation or a function call not guaranteed. Yeah. Because this is a function, POS.bottom is actually a function that fires. And it's firing inside of draw rectangle. GameMaker's trying to tell me that draw rectangle may fire before this returns. And it's going to have an undefined value at that time. If this bothers you, you can just say like that, and it fixes it. Code does still run from top to bottom. So if there's a function call, this code is all blocking because it's single-threaded JavaScript, basically. This function has to return a value and assign this variable its value as the return value of this function before it will go to the next line. So this guarantees the return order. I don't like it because I find it overly fucking verbose. But as it said, the return order of functions is not guaranteed between platforms, and I would like for my toolkit to work on things like the Steam Deck and potentially like the Nintendo Switch or something if my toolkit ends up getting used there. That'd be very cool. I will not develop anything for the Switch. I am 100% fucked off with both Sony and Nintendo right now. All right. We're going to wrap this in a debug statement. All right, now let's render the actual control. Starting with thematics. So, we'll set theme class. Because that is what I call it. You can call it whatever you want in your theme data. Can you do that? Does that make it angry? That's not what I did before. Oh, that's right. I did this. And we are going to do this again. I forgot. I have a couple of different ways that you can theme your object. you don't actually have to write a whole theme out. You can actually say something like wheel set theme data, and this will take a struct, which you can now just say bg color, is C blue. And that'll work just fine if you want to do that. I like the idea of theme classes though, because I'm a web developer at heart. HTML, CSS, JavaScript are my first languages. So it felt natural to want to do that. I find CSS to be very easy to use and versatile enough for its function. And this way, like I have a wheel class that I'm using for my wheel that, again, you can call yours whatever you want. And you can actually have multiple, right? If you have one item wheel that is, for input selection, or and another item wheel for a difficulty selector or something, you can skin them differently by giving them different theme classes. Because it's all decided right here with this line of code. And the best part is, with the event system, right, you can actually write multiple themes for your game. You can have a light mode and a dark mode for your UIs. And when the theme changes, it generates an event that will update everything. Which I think is pretty goddamn cool. Alright, let's get into how to do this. Alright, we're doing it visible first, right? Because that is a thing. Controls can be invisible. And we're just gonna steal this bit of code right here. This is pretty standard stuff that I use all the time. This checks that the theme and theme class exist. Theme is set in AUI control, and it is always set by AUI get theme, which if you're using that framework, you'll say AUI set theme, and that's where the update happens and everything. And then the theme class is obviously the theme class that we set in code. It will check for a theme class, and if it finds a theme class, it will just use the theme class. If you try to use a theme class and override it with a struct, that's not gonna work. You pick one. And I realize in HTML that does work, where you can write an inline style in HTML and it will override the CSS with actually a higher priority. We're not doing that here. I'm not making that this complicated. Use the themes, that's what they're for. Okay. And here we just get the alpha that's currently being used, and this is so that we don't break other controls. Because we're at the end of this, we also say, not there because we're out of scope. We say draw set alpha d alpha, and then draw set color d color. Okay, and that functionally fixes everything that we've made changes to, because the skin will be making changes. All right, so if we go back to our control, this is where it gets really complicated. So that's why I kind of put it in chunks. I don't foresee this control having its own background color, but again, I'm not implementing the controls for other people, so we're going to run under the assumption that maybe it does. And this code can actually go pretty much just the way it is, because this is just the background. And I believe the background image is the same, yep. And so is the border. And then there's the restore defaults. Where it gets funny now is where we have to, because the control has other functions attached to it, right? Again, this is all code that just makes boxes. Loads background images into those boxes, puts, you know, borders and pretty colors with transparencies if you want them. This control's a little bit more complicated than that. So now we're going to render the arrows, which are also part of the theme. Right here. Now I made these actually during a commercial break real quick. But they are these two things. They're just a cheesy white and gray left and right arrow for demonstrative purposes only. I will definitely override them for my game, but for the base toolkit, I don't want to make it anything overly fancy because I want people to make their own art. Don't use my art. You can use my art. I'm not going to stop you, but it's going to look like shit. Please learn how to make pixel art if you're into this. It's worth learning. You don't have to be Picasso. So we're going to render, let's start with our left arrow first. And we're going to say if variable struct exists in the skin. What did I call that thing? Left arrow. That's good. I probably should call that sprite left arrow. Let's fix that real quick. Or left arrow sprite. What did I do before? I want to make sure I'm consistent, if nothing else. I'll actually use the word image. Okay, so we'll go with image. Left arrow. Yeah, BG image rotation, BG image color. Left arrow image. Right arrow image. Yeah, we'll be super consistent about this. Okay. Do I want to do alphas for them? Not particularly. But I will. If variable struct exists, skin left arrow image alpha draw set alpha skin. God damn it. Left arrow image alpha draw set No, not draw set. Draw sprite. SP. Not SPR. Jesus Christ. Skin. Left. Arrow. Image. Okay. Draw sprite also takes the X and Y coordinates of the thing. Oh, and also sub image, which we're going to we're just going to set that to 0, 0 for now, real quick, because I actually want to change this just slightly. If variable struct exists skin left arrow sub image right above this we'll say SI equals 0. Here we'll say SI equals skin left arrow sub image, right? And then here I can just say SI. And this is if you don't want to have separate images for your arrows, you could have them. Hey, gaming with Zen, it's veteran. What's going on, buddy? You know, how long have you even been here? Or are you even still here? I haven't really been paying attention to chat. He's not here. Why is that mad? 752 axis look where outside the scope it's defined in. It is 100% defined in this scope. You are on drugs, game maker. All right. Oh, you are still here. I always need company, man. Why is that, man? Why is Game Maker so angry about the silliest things? All right. This is mad. Oh, you know what? I know what's happening. There we go. Next. I missed a parenthesis. Oh, good for you. That's awesome, dude. It's not going to be at 0, 0 though. I need. I want to center this. Actually, 0 on the X doesn't sound like a terrible idea. But on the Y, I need the control height. So we're going to say YPOS equals POS height divided by 2 minus sprite get height begin. Left arrow image. Also divided by 2. And that'll give me the center of the altitude. That way I'll draw this always in the center. Don't force it. If what you've got's working, like right now, then work with it. You know? You don't necessarily have to be at the same job. I mean, if that works out, that's awesome too, right? Like, but sometimes it's better to stick with what you know is already working. Although if everything's still brand new, I mean, nothing's probably honestly working perfectly yet. Which desk light moved anyway?
This one I bumped it and it like
Yeah, yeah. You're not anchored before, they're going to shift around. Oh. No, that's not going to break.
it has no footy rests.
I'm sorry, I'll have to fix that for you.
I don't know how to fix it. It's not hold it.
You're good to understand. The old printer stand broke. Oh. Oh yeah. Okay. Hey, veteran, you want to see something cool? It's okay, I'll wait for you. There's the arrow up there. Because I forgot to take into consideration the US. Oh, God. No, it's not Daddy Keep. We're not doing that.
Well, now you can do that.
I've been waiting like hell to show this shit off. Where's my pick?
It's under your little arm.
That's not recording properly. Oh, I know why. What? What's my... Oh, you know what? Well, let me fix my settings. I'll get it fixed after the ads.
Okay, hon.
Yeah.
Your stream is like 30 seconds behind your live.
What do you mean? What's behind Twitch or YouTube? Refresh. You don't. they not hear it? There we go. All right, are we back from ads? We're back from ads. I think.
I don't even think it went to ads yet.
No, I didn't go to ads yet. Okay. There it is. All right, we're back. Well, now I can record music for my game. we don't wake the children up with the electric guitar. That's terrible. Very funny, terrible. Besides, you have to deal with grumpy ass moody children for the rest of the day, and nobody wants that. All right, dude, go get some sleep. I gotta write some more code anyway. Oh, okay. Dude, it's the fucking intro to Crazy Train. Yeah. It's fucking Ozzy. Oh, I have someone in YouTube too, I think.
Think.
No, I don't. They're not on the list anymore. I feel really bad about that because I would have seen them if my Winamp hadn't been covering half of my chat. Yeah, Ozzy was on a lot of drugs, man.
He bit the head off of a dove in a record label meeting too.
Yeah. Yeah, Ozzy bit the head off of a dove in a meeting once too. Like, he wasn't a well person. Yeah, I know. Remember, dude, I was born in '82. I was there. I would definitely not care to watch that. That's not something that ranks really high on my list of shit I want to, knock off my bucket list. Nowhere near. Gross. That was the late 60s, early 70s. Yeah.
Where the air smells like
Yeah. The wife's right. In the 80s, the air smelled like hairspray. I have older siblings as well. Like, I, well, I want to say I have an older brother and two older sisters, but my older brother died, and I don't talk to one of my sisters. So, I assume my younger brother died too. So, there's that. No, I have a clean bill of health, thank you. I mean, except for these things, which I don't recommend, by the way. Cool.
stabbing yourself.
What's that?
Stabbing yourself.
Yes, and stabbing myself. I'm good at stabbing myself. I did that. I the kids were outside fighting over a basketball a couple of weeks ago, and I've been listening to the same argument over this basketball every day for weeks. But I got tired of hearing it, and I got pissed. So I'm like, all right, you want to fight it with a fucking basketball? No big deal. I'll just delete the basketball. I went outside with my pocket knife, and I picked the ball up, and I went to stab it, and I missed the ball. Like I didn't miss it. Like I hit the ball, and it's a rubber ball, so it deformed out of the way, and the blade slipped, and I slipped and it like went in. Better just show you right there. I buried it, like an inch and a half, 2 inches into my stomach. So, all right, dude, go get some sleep. All right. All right, so I forgot to take into consideration the um, RPOS. So we'll say RPOS X plus this is Y position, right? Yeah, so this is be Y plus, and then here I want to say RPOS X. Actually, this doesn't make sense to do this here. We're going to do it here. And that should put it where I want it. And it does. Okay. So let's do the same thing, but for the right arrow. Wow, I butchered the spelling of that. This is obviously incorrect because it'll place it directly on top of the other sprite. We need to calculate where on X we need to be. We're going to say var xpos equals. We need the width of the control minus the sprite get width right arrow image, and that will give us assuming I did this right. Yep. And we can prove that if we go into workspace. I could set AUI debug. I'm dumb sometimes. Like, I'm really dumb. It's not supposed to be debug. It's supposed to be AUI show layout, which is debug for visuals. There it is. And you can see that perfectly places the arrows vertically and to the left and right of the control. And now we have to just render whatever image we need in the center of the control based on the current index that's selected. And when you click these buttons, that's when we call get next or get previous, which will increment the current index state variable, and render will be using that state variable to figure out what image it's supposed to draw in here. Okay. But before we do that, we actually have to load it with data to use. And I specifically required that we handed a key and a sprite. So let's hand it a sprite. I don't really have any sprites to shove in there that aren't already being used by something else. So I think I will just make some bullshit sprites real quick. Let's get back into workspace. Let's make a group here. We'll call it for icon wheel demo. Create sprite. Let's SPR input controller. Let's edit the image. I don't know. Let me have this thing. All right. I know this looks terrible. I'm very quickly doing this. It looks fucking awful. Like, seriously awful.
Are you supposed to be showing that to your stream?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess I am. I forgot I had switched to the full screen camera so that I could do the guitar thing, and then I forgot to switch back.
Jesus.
Okay. Get some black.
Pardon me.
Okay. This has got to be the most hideous thing I've ever made, and I'm so not proud of it. But I need to test this control, so. All right, I can at least tolerate that as a icon. Let's image.
4 minutes.
Oh. You know what I sometimes do? I sometimes work entirely too hard. I don't actually want all of this background color, so we're gonna.
We've got ads.
And we got ads. Okay. Did not scale super well, so a little bit of cleanup. That should do. All right. I actually don't want these colors either. So we're gonna. Yeah. Okay. We'll take that. Except this one's 1 pixel off. There we go. That's better. And that looks like dog shit. You know what? I'm done fucking with it. It's fine for demonstrative purposes. Alright, this is SPR input controller. Okay. So now let's set the first object in the wheel. Add item. Okay, well, I haven't told it to render anything yet, so let's. So we'll say there's the controller. Alright, now let's place it correctly. So the X position is going to be definitely RPOS.X plus the width of the box. So POS.width divided by 2 plus the sprite get width That's incorrect. That's correct. Right now, the same thing for the y coordinate. We're going to say rpos.y plus pos.height divided by 2 minus sprite get height icon divided by 2. Okay, it's a bit big and it looks a little weird. I figured that might be the case. So we're going to draw the sprite stretched instead, which takes a few more arguments. So we have the icon and the subimage. We have the X position. We have the Y position. Now we have the new height and width we want to draw the image at. So we want to draw the image at the, let's do the width first. Do the width, actually I don't know which stretch I'm going to go about this, but let's try the position, height, and the, wait. Oh, I need to count on here. the overall width, let's say POS width, what do I do? This probably looks like shit. Yeah, it totally does. Because I'm positioning the object based on the values provided by the box and then kind of stretching it around. I didn't mean to do that. It's better though. And we'll make the 150 pixels wide instead. Okay. Now, obviously, you wouldn't want to use that. Why am I back on this? Oh, I keep forgetting that I can't use my number pad because it's attached to OBS's hotkeys for changing my scenes. Now I realize that this looks terrible because the icon is black in the thing, but so let me go back to the theme, and here I have BG color undefined. I'm going to set that to C gray, just because, yeah, just so you can see the controller in there. All right, now for the next. Create a sprite. SPR input KB. Okay, and we're gonna. This is gonna look really, really fucking hacky. Oh, you know what? That's wrong. What did I put this at? This is 64 by 64. Okay, so I definitely want. Oh, this is the same thing. Okay, image. That looks so trash. I can't. I can't do this. I wanted to. Yeah, I'm not doing this. This is fucking awful. It looks absolutely hideous. Let's go back to Open Game Art. I'll just snatch another. That's not what I need. Oh, hello. I have been busy. I've been very busy. New studio, kind of. Um, new pretty much everything, really. I got a new microphone. I got new heads-up lamps, so that I'm actually eliminated green screens in the mail. My old green screen just was terrible, and no, we're not doing that. What is dinging?
Your phone.
Oh, okay. And I got uh oh, I got my amplifier hooked up to my computer so that I can now record music live from my guitar or anything else I plug into the amplifier. I need an image of a keyboard. That's not what I want. That's not what I want either. These are keyboard prompts. That's neat, but not what I'm after. All right, we're gonna hack this out myself then. Let's do this. Okay. That's 26 pixels high. That's 23 pixels high. $25, $24, close enough. All right, so we're back to here. And I also say wheel, add item, keyboard, SPR, input, KB. Okay. Now if I swap these, yeah, nice. Cool. Let's do this. We'll do flood fill black. Just as some contrast. Close that. Alright. Back into here. Now let's get the code for panel input. Actually, I'm going to take a quick break. I have to pee. The coffee's hit me pretty hardcore, and I'm old. So I'll be right back. And, oh, I didn't realize I had someone on YouTube chatting with me. You are still here, too, as well, Tieth. Also, balls. I am working on a GUI toolkit for GameMaker because GameMaker desperately needs help making GUIs, and I am tired of fighting with it. So I'm building a toolkit that works similar to building C# Windows forms for GameMaker, so that we have, for those of us that are making games, we have a more normal process for making GUIs that feel good to use and aren't an absolute miserable nightmare to put together. And if I go back into my code, I can kind of show that off a little bit. If I just set everything through here, that's the debugger. I didn't want that, but whatever. But anyway, you can see balls, drawers. Um, anyway, I will be right back. I'm gonna wet myself. I'm old. I have returned. I have to remember to unmute my microphone before I start talking. All right, we're going to get right back into this. We are adding the controller and keyboard to the icon wheel. Right, we have to figure out the input areas for the object. So let's define and then the I actually can't do it that way because I don't have the sprites yet. Okay, so we're gonna say if keys, if array of length of keys greater than 0, we'll handle input. If it's not, then we won't handle input. That's simple. And we have to do that because we need the sprites. Well, I guess we don't, but all right, let's get the skin. I really don't like this. I don't like the idea of doing it this way, but I need the width of the sprite for the left and right arrows to figure out what the clickable area is, which that clickable area could be different skin to skin. So I hate the idea of using image data in a handle input function, but we're going to have to do it that way unless I work out something else. So we'll say left new AUI box. And that's going to be 0, 0. And then the width is going to be the sprite get width skin left arrow image, I think. Left arrow image, okay. And then the height of the clickable area, I think I'll actually make the height of the control. Now, same thing for the right box. It's a new AUI box. Won't be 0, 0 though. It's going to be shit. The X position is the POS width minus the sprite get width skin left arrow image It's not width. It's right function. Okay, the Y position will be 0. Okay. Now the bottom corner, well, the width and height will be the no. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Yeah, because it's X, Y, then width and height. And height is again just going to be the height of the control. TF, I write all kinds of stuff. This is GameMaker language, which is very, very close to just writing JavaScript. But I also write C#, Perl, PHP, various markup languages, because markup languages are easy to learn. Like HTML, YAML, JSON, which is, again, you know, I want to say by far my favorite language is probably Perl. But Perl isn't for everybody. Perl is older technology, for lack of a better phrase. It was originally made, Perl was built, Perl version 1 was built in 1985 by Larry Wall. It's a great language, though. Okay. All right, this defines my left box and my right box. So now I want to, if, oh, well, thank you for joining. I really wish I could see who joined, because, my Twitch notifications are very small on my screen. All right, so I want to say if what the hell is the function? Is it nope. It's mouse check button pressed MB left. All right. If point in rectangle left box X left jet box Y left box right left box bottom. we'll dispatch event for I don't know what the hell to call the event. You get this far in my thought process. Icon left, and then the event data will be AID is self AID. And if points in rectangle right box X right box Y. If I could type, this would go so much better. Almost fucked that up. Right box, bottom. We will again dispatch event. Icon right. AID. Self AID. Something's broken. It's mad right here. Which means I didn't close a bracket somewhere or something. That looks good. That looks good. Am I supposed to have another? Yeah. Okay. Oh, cool, man. I appreciate the follow. You have yourself a good night, too. I stream every day. If you're still here, you can still hear me. Or just about every day. Left icon right. So we're going down to the bottom here. We're going to say oh, and we also want to return true from these events or these event handlers to tell the event dispatch system that the event was consumed and it should not continue propagating it. Now this is the part where I test it, it crashes. Or it doesn't even launch because of this somewhere. I missed a bracket or something. Wow, it's mad all the way up here. What? That's not even a thing that should happen. Oh. I've got an open parenthesis somewhere that I'm not supposed to. Good luck finding it now. I do need that, but I also need one here. Okay. No, still mad. Wrong number of arguments for point in rectangle. Where's that? That's 1, 2, 3, 4. That is not the wrong number of arguments. Oh, it is. Because I didn't... I didn't tell it what point the source point. Within the room. That's wrong. Because the room is not what I need. Huh. Hang on. We'll use that for now. Oh. Okay, well that doesn't work at all. That's neat. Hang on. Just like I call the wheel render here, I have to call wheel handle input here for it to actually process the input. Okay, well, it still doesn't work, but, oh, okay, that tells me something. And that tells me that I did not take into consideration the RPOS, which I do all the time. I forget this all the time. Var RPOS equals get position. Okay. So now here, okay, well, it kind of works. Oh, it's firing at every frame, doing the checks. Let's see how I rendered the right arrow. Okay, the XPOS right was the position width minus the sprite width. The clickable reading was that out? Yeah. Something's still wrong. It worked one time. That's really odd. Okay. Is the width. Which this would be 0. And then the right box right is the width. Okay, wait a minute. This is X, this is Y. This is width of the box, which is, yes, the width of the left arrow image. And then the height of the actual control is the height of the clickable box. That makes sense. This is all right. Then here, mouse X and mouse Y is inside of relative X plus the right box X offset, which would be 0. Well, not be 0, it would be the width of this right. Oh, yeah, plus position. But that doesn't make any sense. Why the does it? All right, well, something weird's going on here. Oh, we gotta. I don't know if I can do this, but we're gonna try to draw a rectangle, like right here in the handle input code. It's probably gonna be gross, but and it's gonna be right box X box. Bottom. Just gonna draw the top corner. Oh. True. I always forget you have to tell the draw rectangle thing that you want it to be an outline. Yeah, I did not draw it. That's not really surprising. Okay.
We've got ads.
Oh, we got ads. Hmm. Self next. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's what was supposed to happen. Hmm. Hmm. That's so weird. Okay, so the problem isn't the clickable region. The problem is this next function. Oh. Well, nope. That's not it either. I was thinking maybe it's receiving the mouse click more than one time, but it's not because I made sure to use check button pressed, which checks for that can only fire once until you release the mouse button. This logic isn't working, and it should be. I asked it to print the value of if last index is equal to the current index, which is exactly what I'm evaluating here. And if it does, it will print true. And if it does not, it will print false. And every time I click it, it prints true, which means this should be firing. And then it should be setting the current index to 0 and then dumping out of this because the else won't fire. And it's not doing that. And I don't understand why. We have all of this actually. That is the expected result. That is not the expected result. That makes no goddamn sense. That shouldn't matter, but let's see. No. Okay. This should not be a thing, but I'm wondering because they're real numbers, not integers. No, that doesn't work. This is just wrong. This will crash it after the first run. Yep. Okay, expected result. exactly the code I just had there. And now it works fine. What, Game Maker? What? I probably had something misspelled and didn't realize it, but that's the expected behavior. Okay, so there we go. We have a fully customizable wheel control now that we can move around and put inside of other containers because that's how the AUI control system works. And if I go into here, and I turn show layout off and run it, you won't get those purple lines. Okay. Cool. That's going to wrap up tonight's stream. It's 1 o'clock in the morning my time. And we have fully implemented a control. That's a lot. That's a big victory. That's a functionality that now works. I do want to add one more thing, and that is I want to add another function to this function ended up not being needed at all, so we're going to say get selected item, and rather than return, now we'll say current index. Now we have a function that can that's actually not helpful because that just returns the sprite. So let's return the name of the key. I may have to change this. I don't know if this is great, but at least returning the key name and not the sprite will give you a little. It's just text then, right? So if you name your real object or your real values something smart like keyboard, or I could say gamepad 0, right? And I can actually add this a second time. With gamepad 1. And you would want different sprites for that, that signify it's a 1 or a 2 or whatever. But in doing that, that's working exactly as I expected. Now I can go to here and I can say wheel add listener what did I name these things? Icon left, icon right. We're gonna work on those names. Those names are terrible. Icon right. Copy paste this to here. And an icon left. And now whenever I select something, it should give me the key name. Gamepad 0, Gamepad 1, keyboard. Hey, it works, guys. Alright, that's pretty dope. I will delete this. We don't need these listeners for that. We actually don't need the second gamepad anymore. Alright, tomorrow's another day. We'll set up to maybe do something else with this. I'm going to spend some time thinking about what I'm going to call these event names. Because again, in the essence of consistency and everything that works well with the rest of the framework. I want to thank everybody for joining me tonight. It's been a really, really good stream. Lots of people came in and out. Got a little bit of music. A lot of progress. It's been a real good night. And I will see you all tomorrow.